Dear students, in the previous classes, we have discussed decomposition of price effect into income effect and substitution effect. We have discussed how to segregate substitution effect from income effect of a price change by keeping the real income constant. Substitution effect is segregated from income effect by keeping the real income associated with a rise in price or a fall in price constant. The method of keeping the real income constant that we have discussed in the previous classes is known as Hicksian method. The method of compensating for the increase in real income associated with a price decrease or a decrease in real income associated with an increase in price is known as Hicksian compensation, introduced by J.R. Hicks. But this is not the only way of keeping real income constant. This is not the only way of compensating for the change in real income. There is an alternative method of keeping real income constant. It is known as Slutsky method, introduced by Slutsky. In the Hicksian method, we compensated the change in real income by keeping utility constant. As we have discussed in the previous classes, the compensated budget line is tangent to the original indifference curve. The compensated budget line is tangent to the original indifference curve, so that utility is constant. As we have discussed in the previous classes, we have considered the case in the case of a price decrease and also in the case of a price increase, where we have seen that a consumer substitute X for Y for a price decrease, a decrease in the price of X, and this substitution occurs due to a change in the relative price of X while keeping real income constant. And as long as preferences are convex or indifference curves are convex, this new quantity occurs to the right of the original quantity that we have discussed in detail in the case of a decrease in the price of X. Now, in the Slutsky's method, we compensate real income in such a way that consumer can purchase the original consumption bundle if he wishes. So, in the Hicksian method, we keep a utility constant, whereas in the Slutsky's method we keep purchasing power constant. That is the difference between these two approaches. In the Hicksian method, we compensate for the change in real income by keeping utility constant, so that the compensated budget line is tangent to the original indifference curve. But in the Hicksian method, we compensate by keeping purchasing power constant, so that the compensated budget line passes through the original combination purchased by the consumer. Passes through the original combination purchased by the consumer. So Hicksian compensation keeps utility constant. Slutsky's compensation keeps purchasing power constant. That is the difference between these two approaches to compensation. Let us see the cases. Now, suppose that the original budget line is this: y x I by py I by px 0, I by px 0, and suppose that our consumer purchases the combination on indifference curve u0, where indifference curve is tangent to the budget line at A. Now suppose that price of x increases from px0 to p dash x such that p dash x is greater than p0x. So the new budget line is like this: I by p dash x, I by p dash x. Now, if we are considering the Hicksian compensation, here as the price of x increases, real income decreases. So we compensate the consumer by reinstating the real income in such a way that the compensated budget line is tangent to the original indifference curve at a point, say point B. Compensated budget line parallel to this new budget line and tangent to the original indifference curve u0. So movement from A to B is Hicksian substitution effect. A to B is Hicksian substitution effect. Now, let us see Slutsky's compensation. Slutsky compensation is such that the compensated budget line passes through the original consumption bundle A. The original consumption bundle A, so that the new equilibrium compensated after compensating for the change in income is C on a new indifference curve U1. What happens is, as the price of x increases, x is substituted for y, A to B in the Hicksian case. Here also, x is substituted for y. So y is substituted for x as the price of x increases. The movement from A to C. And Slutsky's substitution involves a movement to a higher level of satisfaction. If you compare these two, you will see that the compensated budget line in the Slutsky's case intersects or cuts the original indifference curve, so that substitution results in a movement to a higher indifference curve U1 instead of U0. And the level of satisfaction associated with the Slutsky's substitution is higher than that of Hicksian substitution. So C yields a higher level of utility. So this is the difference between Hicksian and Slutsky's substitution effect. I mean compensation and the resulting substitution effect. Now, although the degree of compensation and the resulting satisfaction level differ, the degree of compensation and also the resulting satisfaction level differ in the Hicksian and Slutsky cases, the form of Slutsky equation does not change when we consider these types of compensation. The Slutsky equation, its form is same, it will not be affected whether we consider Hicksian or Slutsky substitution. Both are represented by the Slutsky equation. Moreover, in the limit, as the price change is very small or approaches to zero, both Hicksian and substitution effects are compensation are identical. So both will give identical results if the change in price is small or approaches to zero. And one more point is, remember this, Hicksian substitution compensation keeps utility constant. And utility is something which is not measurable. So you cannot observe it. But Slutsky's substitution keeps purchasing power constant. Purchasing power constant. And it can be observed in the market. So Slutsky's compensation has an advantage over Hicksian compensation, that Slutsky's compensation is observable in the market, or Slutsky's compensation is revealed. And as Slutsky's compensation is revealed, it can provide an approximation of Hicks compensation. An approximation of Hicks compensation. Now, given that, we have to consider the compensation and the decomposition of price effect into income effect and substitution effect, and the extent by which a consumer will substitute X for Y for a price decrease of X and Y for X for an increase in price. We have to consider compensation, whether it is Hicksian or a Slutsky. Now the question is, why we consider this compensated price changes? What is the importance of compensating the consumer for change in real income? Let us consider this with an example. During very cold seasons, price of natural gas increases for heating purposes. Demand for heating will increase, so price of natural gas will increase. So such a price increases adversely affect the well-being of the consumers. Especially its impact will be very hard on poor families who spend a significant proportion of their income for heating purposes. So, to aid the poor families, government programs give direct income compensation. Direct income compensation. Government programs will give direct income compensation to offset the higher living costs. Now, in order to see how much compensation is required, to keep the well-being of the family constant, we can rewrite the Slutsky equation. Remember this, the Slutsky equation is dou x by dou px is equal to dou x by dou px du is equal to 0 minus dou x by dou I into x. So this total effect is equal to substitution effect plus income effect. So in order to see how much compensation is required, we can write a substitution effect as equal to total effect minus income effect. Total effect minus income effect, or dou x by dou px du is equal to 0 is equal to dou x by dou px minus income effect plus dou x by dou I into x. So we rewrite Slutsky equation like this, where substitution effect is total effect minus income effect, and diminishing marginal rate of substitution axiom ensures that on substitution effect is always negative. Substitution effect on substitution effect is always negative. And the substitution effect is also known as compensated price effect. Substitution effect is also known as compensated price effect, and it is the sum of two components we observe in the market, namely a total effect and also an income effect. Both are observable in the market. So substitution effect, also known as compensated price effect, is the sum of a total effect and an income effect which is observed in the market. Now, as you can see, this substitution effect is obtained by removing income effect from total effect. And when income effect is removed from total effect, we have what is known as the pure price effect. Price effect, as income effect is removed. Income effect, for a price increase, real income decreases. For a price decrease, real income increases. This income effect is removed, then what we have is pure price effect. And as a result of the higher price of natural gas, households' real income declines, and hence the well-being of the household also decreases. Now, compensating the household for this loss in satisfaction by increasing the income results in what is known as compensated price effect. That is, as the price of natural gas X increases, real income decreases, results in a reduction in the welfare or satisfaction of the household or consumer. So we compensate for the reduction in real income, or increasing the income of the household by an amount equal to compensated price effect. Then consumers' utility is returned to the same level prior to price change. So compensated price effect can be calculated from observed total effect and income effect. Observed total effect. What is the total effect of a price increase on the purchases of the consumer? Subtract from it the increase in or decrease in real income. Then we have the effect of a price change on purchase, and this can be compensated so that consumers satisfaction will remain same. So compensated price change is very important in the real world. For calculating this, we use this form of Slutsky's equation.